Good evening. My name is Steve Worthington. I'm the mayor of University Place, and I am declaring the April 17th, 2023 University Place City Council meeting is now in order. And with that, we'll start with the roll call, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Keel.
Present.
Councilmember Wood.
Present.
Councilmember McCluskey.
I'm here.
Councilmember Fleming is excused. Councilmember Belisi.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa is excused. And Mayor Worthington.
And Mayor Worthington, present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you. And we can proceed. And with that, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance with Councilmember McCluskey's help.
Okay, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Please take your seat.
Thank you, Councilmember McCluskey. Very good.
Okay.
And I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda for this evening.
This is Councilmember Belisi. I make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Keel, I second.
Councilmember Keel for seconding. And are there any objections to the agenda as distributed? Seeing none, the agenda is approved as distributed. Brings us to our presentations, and we have a couple of presentations this evening, 3 in total, but we're going to start with some proclamations. I'll be stepping down to talk about those. So it's the time of year that we recognize the good work that occurs in our community associated with trees and Arbor Day and the various things that go on with the Arbor Association. One of the things we are is a tree city. And as a tree city, we do this each year, and it's a great chance to recognize the benefit that greenery or really trees bring into any community, and particularly ours. So with that in mind, City of University Place proclamation. Whereas in 1872, J.R. Sterling Morton proposed to the National Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting trees. And whereas the holiday called Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the emissions, erosions of our precious soils by the wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, provide oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of the business areas, beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas all citizens are encouraged to support efforts to protect our trees and to support our city's urban forestry program and to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of University Place does hereby recognize and support Saturday, April 22nd, 2023, to be Arbor Day in the City of University Place, proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place, Washington, on April 17th, 2023, signed by Steve Worthington, Mayor. And with this, to receive that is Jack Eklund, our city engineer, and how many other hats and titles I have forgotten. But Jack, anything you'd like to add?
I just want to say that, thank you, we appreciate it. And we will be planting our tree for Arbor Day on Saturday as part of our Park Appreciation Day at Paradise Pond Park off of 67th Avenue, where we also, if you'd like to come and put on some work gloves, we're also doing some work parties there for Park Appreciation Day to spread some bark chips around the trails, and it's actually a really fun event. So, but anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Jack. It is a fun event, and I've enjoyed that, and other council members have as well, I know. So we're looking forward to carrying on with that. Next, I would like to ask Councilmember McCluskey to join me. And also, we have some folks representing housing, fair housing interest in our community. And if I could ask you to join us over here. Now, this is a big task, and so I've decided I need some help to share that task, and I've asked Councilmember McCluskey to help us with the proclamation. So we're going to take turns here. I think we're ready?
You get the cheap seat.
Yeah, I get something, a way to hold the paper still, at least to some degree. So, proclaimed by the City of University Place, proclamation. Whereas on April 11th, 1968, the Fair Housing Act was enacted into law, recognizing that no one should have their right to purchase or rent shelter of their choice hindered because of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity, and
Whereas the year 2023 marks the 55th anniversary of this monumental Civil Rights Act of Congress, and
whereas the City of University Place is committed to the mission and intent of Congress to provide fair and equal housing opportunities for all, and
whereas equality of opportunity is a fundamental policy of this nation and our state, and
whereas housing choices impact the quality of our health, the education of our children have access to, our employment opportunities, and the culture and societal benefits we enjoy, and
whereas discriminatory housing practices create racial and economic segregation in our communities and desperate outcomes in overall quality of life, and
whereas the City of University Place believes that raising awareness of fair housing laws have made our community stronger and more vibrant, and
whereas we are committed to programs that will educate the public about the right to equal housing choice in the City of University Place to affirmatively further fair housing, and
whereas through shared cooperation and commitment from government and private and public industry, and all Washingtonians can remove barriers and foster inclusive communities free from housing discrimination.
now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of University Place recognize the 55th anniversary of the Federal Fair Housing Act and thank the many people and organizations in our communities who have opened the doors of housing opportunity to all. Proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place on April 17 of 2023. And thank you for bringing this forward to us. Appreciate that.
Thank you indeed. And I'm going to ask Councilmember McCluskey to make the presentation.
Okay. Who would like to receive it? Ms. McKenzie, our co-vice chair of the Planning Commission, please come up. I'd like to give you our proclamation. Thank you. And thank you for bringing it forward to us. And we appreciate all the time and all the effort that it takes it also to keep reminding about where we're going with fair and equal housing opportunity, to keep the pressure on and so we can get to our goal. Would you like to say a few words?
Just thank you. Thank you for your continued support, and I look forward to working with all of you, especially through Planning Commission and any other avenues that we have to continue to further fair housing in our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, Councilmember McCluskey, thank you. Appreciate the help too. Okay, we'll bring the agenda back and continue with our presentations. And Councilman McCluskey, good. Thank you. I thought that went well. Appreciated your help.
You guys should take that on the road.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
maybe
should.
the new
We're-
act.
We're a
Yeah.
great team.
Excellent. Well, next on our agenda, we're going to be talking about the Inclusive Playground Project. And Jack Eklund is here along with Chris Saunders. And Jack, please, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, so we wanted to give an update of where we are with the Inclusive Playground, and with me up here is Chris Saunders of the University Place Parks and Rec Foundation. And I'm just going to talk about where we are citywide of our role and the status, and then I'm going to pass off the lion's share of the work here to Chris. But currently, from the city standpoint, we've been working with the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation to get the ultimately, we need to have a formal agreement between the city and the Cal Ripken Foundation, which is going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting from a fundraising standpoint. And so where we're at with that, they have provided their draft agreement. We've now reviewed it through from a public works side, from a finance side, from a city attorney side, and we also have had WCIA, our insurance provider, has reviewed it as well. We've now compiled those comments, and we've sent it back to Cal Ripken. So we hope to see, hopefully soon we'll be seeing that agreement for you guys. And that really needs to be in place, not necessarily before all the money's there, or before the money starts, but before kind of we're formalizing and getting to the point where we're accepting the project to move forward. So with that, that's kind of the status of the city's end of things. And then the more exciting information, I think, is coming from Chris, and she has a nice presentation here to show you too where we're at.
So this is I'm Chris Saunders with University Place Parks and Recreation Foundation, and we have put together a series of marketing materials, some of which you, as the City Council, have already seen. But I'm going to go through parts of it today and let you have a chance to see the total package and then also ask any questions after. So Cal Ripken, of course, is our partner for this project, and they have now completed 112 youth projects. That's what they call these, youth field projects or youth activity projects. And so we're one of those. They consider this an opportunity to transform communities, and so that's why they call it this. And let me find, there we are. So they are our strategic partner. Along with, there are many organizations here in the community that are involved, including the Rotary Club of University Place and Faircrest, United for University Place, the Families Unlimited Network, and various other organizations. The need that we found was that our playgrounds that we build do not really give access or inclusiveness for all children, including those with disabilities. Also, quite frankly, parents and grandparents who may have disabilities to go on to the playground. And so we got looking and decided that we as a community would join together and put together a plan for a playground, and as you know, that's now completed. It will be located over at Cirque Park, our 27-acre park that's very centrally located. There is a playground over there right now, and it will be taken out, and an 8,500 square foot playground will go in, along with a restroom facility for families with children with disabilities. A couple of facilities, actually. To know about Cal Ripken, we've heard about both Cal Ripken Senior and Junior. This is Cal Ripken Seniors Foundation. They contacted us through the Greater Tacoma Community Foundation, or we got hooked up with them there, and they were looking for projects where they weren't even at design. And they like to come in at that stage and help us design. They like to partner right from the very conception. And so they have been just a wealth of expertise and information on how to go about certain things. And as we progress forward onto this project, University Place Parks and Recreation Foundation will diminish, so to speak, and Cal Ripken will step in and do the building of the playground, along with this, and work with the city and the project manager and so on when we get to that stage. And of course, you guys have heard about us. We are very, very new, and found that we needed a communication tool to help facilitate projects like this. So at first we were a task force just wanting to build a playground, and we started to dream beyond that and realize, there's other things that could happen around this city if we kind of figured this out. So that's why we went ahead and formed the foundation. And really, we're focused on the parks and recreation of the community. The timeline that we're looking at right now is we have started fundraising efforts. We hope to see construction early fall, and we hope the whole project is completed by the end of December. The maintenance and accountability, of course. Once the playground is built, we don't see this as an issue here in this city, but on occasion, a playground's built or a field's built, and suddenly the city wants to go some other direction, and it's like, no, we'll have like a timeline as to how long it has to stay there and stuff like that. So we don't anticipate that here, but they've had those issues in other places, so they just made sure that this was stated. Our project is $1,053,465. And that includes the play equipment, the inclusive surfacing, which is a big penny, and the site development, which will mostly be on the east side, and then 2 family-style restrooms, since there isn't really that type of restroom at the park at this time. The organizations that helped us get started with all of this are listed right here. And so that shows you our general slides. Here's the playground itself. And you can see that there's a lot of open space. There's ramps instead of stairways. There's different sorts of equipment and even musical equipment that will help kids dealing with all sorts of issues to be able to participate alongside kids with abilities, normal abilities. You can see we have a swing area, and this is just a fun flower to play under, and this is kind of a climbing and slide structure. And this here in this gray is a rocker. So you can see there's a lot of equipment involved. We'll have some critters for kids to find around the playground, and the critters will be, or the woodlands will be the kind of theme that runs through the playground. So we have the $1 million to raise, and then we also want to encourage people who would like to donate, and area people particularly who would like to donate. We have play equipment that can be sponsored. We have this item list that has been worked up, and we'll continue to have it available. Once something's gone, it's gone. So if you are interested in sponsoring, say, the swing set area or the zip line area, make sure that you're communicating with us quickly. So how to donate? First of all, you go to the website. So the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation is collecting the money. They are a bona fide 501c3. They've been around for 12 years or 13 years now. And they are at the highest rankings in all of the charitable evaluators. They get 100% and 4 stars, and they know how to do this. And so we were seeing that as definitely a very strong plus for us. So the trick is, of course, you just type in Cal Ripken Senior Foundation. It will take you to this website. And right there at the beginning of the first page is a donate button. So you hit the donate button, and you go to giving options. That's the first item down. And you'll want youth development parks. And then you will go to the next little box down, and you will find University Place Playground at Cirque Park listed. And then you go ahead and fill out the form, and you will be donating directly to us. Fill out your information and decide what you want to donate, and then if for some reason you do sponsor an item, please email us, because they don't have a place to say, well, this is a sponsorship for this rocker or that swing set or so on. You got to tell me. And let us know, and we will have that set up for you. So that's what we have. Any questions?
Oh, Chris, thank you. And I'm sure we have some questions. And Councilmember Belisi, then Councilmember McCluskey.
I want to say thank you. The hard work that your team has put into this is astonishing, and the timeline in which you have done it is equally astonishing. It shows what a grassroots effort can do when when people find a need in the community and can get out and do it. I'm loving the layout of this and the equipment. I wish I were a kid, and maybe I will become one at the ribbon cutting, who knows. But I've got to say thanks a million for this, and I can see this ending well in December with a completed playground. My question is for Jack here. We were slated under a grant, RCO grant, to have equipment. Is that equipment included in this layout, or is it still somewhere else in the vicinity?
It is included in the layout. It's not part of the cost list that they
Yes,
have.
that's correct.
We have it, we've been able to design it so that it'll be seamless between our grant-funded portion of the playground and then the fundraised inclusive playground around it, and elements will be kind of meshed together, and we have inclusive elements in our part as well. But from the public's perspective, it'll look like one big playground.
Yeah, I was looking at it and trying to envision myself going to the equipment, and so I like the integration that has occurred here. As far as donating, if somebody just wants to donate $25 or $50 towards it, I know I've gone on the Cal Ripken website, and it is very easy to go through those steps, especially since you've noted it here, and get to it. I had not gotten to the point of actual donation at this point, but somebody who wants to just donate a few dollars towards making sure that this goes forward can do that on this website. Is that correct?
Yes, and I actually did it, and I got a receipt right away, et cetera.
Okay.
So it all works very smoothly. Within minutes, you get a receipt of what you've donated to and so on, straight from Cal Ripken. It's very well mechanized.
Great. So I'm hoping that if those in the community that watch this show and are interested in supporting this and making sure that we are an inclusive community and have this playground by the end of this year, I would highly recommend that you get on the Cal Ripken Foundation website and make your donation to make sure that we get this project underway. And again, thank you to you and your team.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember McCluskey, followed by Councilmember Keel.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to ditto everything Councilmember Belisi said and give my heartfelt gratitude to you and your organization for bringing this forward, and also I like the word recreation in your foundation. I'll look forward to, helping and assisting for sure with that, getting recreation back in our community. I think it's essential.
In some way, we hope so.
Yeah. And I think this is fun, colorful, engaging, and, confession here, I do the rip tide at the Sunset Terrace.
Oh, yes, yes.
I don't drag on the ground, though. I'm not. But it is fun, and I could see where some adults want to say, me too, build something like this for me. We only think about youth, right? But we need to think about adults, too.
So the zip line is actually different than the
Okay.
one over at Sunset Terrace. That's
Okay.
probably a true blue sunset at sunset is true blue zip line. This one is encased, and so it
Okay.
won't be dragging on the ground. It's encased in metal, and it goes along a track instead. So it's not a cable. So it's very, has a lot more endurance, let's call it that. Tony was glad to hear that.
Okay, we can do the inaugural run, right? And
Oh, my
so you have a pretty short suspense time to get everything done. So that is challenging and exciting
Yes.
as well. We won't hold you to it, though, but be expecting it.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed, for sure. And even if you don't make that suspense date, we won't,
Yep.
we'll make sure that the project continues on until it's completed.
Something I did not include that I'll do. So now we have 8 organizations and foundations that we have engaged who are discussing various levels of support. And 3 of them have contacted us first. So those are always hot leads. Right?
Yes.
So anyway, they're all aware. We've had good conversations. We're well on our way with them, so.
Okay. So with that, tagged on to that, is there any volunteer opportunities for roll-up-your-sleeve work or
No.
in-kind donations? So it's all
No,
going to be
no.
professionally done and?
Yep. It's one of the requirements when we brought Cal Ripken into
Okay.
this fold, that it would be professionally overseen and built. And also, quite frankly, since we've got the grant that's kind of folded into that too, it's the very best solution, I think, for this one. I, of course, helped with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears down at the playground by the sound, but this is just not the project for that. So
Okay.
that's what we're doing.
And so my understanding is one of those little critters on the pole is about $2,000.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it is.
All righty.
So,
That's okay.
I know, it's a big penny.
Yeah, I saw that, so, okay. And also, Carl Ripken wants to monitor it. Is that in perpetuity as long as the playground stands? And in
yes.
what vein and role would they have in monitoring? Would they do site reviews and then contact the city if there's issues, or what does that look like?
That's still part of the, part of that agreement. We're still trying to formulate that. Right now, a lot of their emphasis has been on fields and things that you program activities, and so some of their boilerplate language doesn't really apply to this instance. So we're still figuring that out, at least, and so. But we'll before we we'll certainly come back and let you guys know what's
Yeah,
at least our
because I would be
recommendation to
interested in the
proceed.
scope of that for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So thank you, and thank you, Jack, partnering, and especially to Chris Saunders and her organization.
And the whole team.
Yeah,
It's
the whole
been a
team, for
big
sure.
effort from all sorts of people.
Yes.
It's been awesome.
All right, okay, thank you, Mayor, I'm done.
Very good. Thank you, Councilmember. Appreciate that. And Councilmember Keel, you're next up, followed by Councilmember Wood.
Great, thank you, Mayor. And Chris, again, thank you to you and your entire team for the work that you're doing. I really appreciate the answer you gave around doing the work. With this type of equipment, it does have to be professionally done and engineered correctly because of the type of people that are going to be using it. So I really appreciate kind of keeping it within that. You partially answered my other question, but just to go into a little bit more, the other 8 agencies that are helping, what kind of, you said some are giving some support. Can you talk a little bit more in detail about what support?
Not really.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
We're just at a very early stage with them.
Okay.
And we're not even really wanting to name them just because things, we're just in almost a courtship stage with
It's fair.
them, so.
I get it. I was excited to see,
Yeah, I know.
I was like, whoa, okay, how are they going to help? The other thing I want to say is, as a parent of a child that has some limited ability, who's in a wheelchair, she's been in a wheelchair her whole life, I'm particularly excited about the effort. And I'll tell you, I'm going to be one of the parents that's going to get on that zip line. Okay, so I'll tell you what it's all about. I totally am excited for January next year, February next year, on a good day, to have my daughter there and to just see her eyes light up and her brain starting to work and do things and be excited about it. I know she will be, and And for that, I'm very grateful. So thank you.
We're excited about that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. So like everybody else, thank you. Appreciate everything you're doing, and I will say that you've put on a clinic on how to do community organization and get something done.
Yep.
I am in awe of how effective and how rapid this project has moved along. I refer people to you now if you didn't know that.
Yes, I have heard that.
I do have one question about the donations, and I understand this whole, sponsoring listing. Is there a way to publicly acknowledge, or have you thought about a way to acknowledge smaller donors?
Yes, we are working on that.
Okay.
And we actually haven't done the site plan yet. But on the east side, we have to do a little bit of site work. And we are thinking that over on the east side, there will be an opportunity for a smaller donation. So, but we don't know yet.
I was just thinking if somebody puts in $50 or $100, that they can have their name in microprint on a plaque on the wall somewhere, just so they can point to it. I mean, you mentioned Playground by the Sound.
Yes.
Our family has one of those little slats there that for our kids, actually, too, one for each kid.
Yes.
But I mean,
It has
and it's
been
cool.
brought
We
up.
still look for it, just.
Yeah, it has been brought up, and we're thinking about that, but we haven't got a solution yet, and part of that is we don't even have a civil engineer yet. So as we get along that way, then we'll get closer to I am very aware that, first of all, families with children with disabilities have a lot of expenses, that people just are not aware of.
Yep.
And yet we want them to be able to be part of the playground too. So we're thinking about it.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, Chris, indeed, it's very obvious how well organized and how effective this project has been already. And I appreciate you making time, relatively short notice, and putting a presentation for us. That was very well done. I was particularly pleased to see ways that we can all start thinking about how to make a donation, how to have a material opportunity to be part of this, because I think it's something many people will want to be part of, and they're going to, be able to see that happen here in the very near future. So, as we've all said, thank you, and appreciate you coming in to do that with us today. Let's see, any parting words, or we've got it covered?
Oh, I was just going to say that to the city council, even if it's just in a public comment time, I will come back on June 5th and update you.
Please.
So that puts us at about 6 weeks out, and we'll know a lot more about our donations and the foundations and organizations that are working on that. We're still just in those very preliminary discussions, so we're, I think 6 weeks out will really tell us a lot.
Thank you, Chris. We'll look forward to seeing you on June 5th. I'll talk with Steve Sucker, city manager, and see if that space is available, but I imagine that it will be. So,
Just a short little report will be all we'll want to do. So,
and anytime you have something to say, we're here. So,
thank you.
thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
So, very good. Well, quite the progress. Look forward to hearing more about once Chris gets beyond the dating phase, and we get moving on with our with the donors and such. Let's see. That brings us to public comments, and it's this time in our evening when we invite members of the public, both here in person and online, to make comments for the City Council. We have 3 minutes available. Our city clerk will tell you some of the rules associated with that in a moment, but if you're online, on your screen, you'll be able to see how to make those comments known. And any further details you'd like to provide for us here? Let's see, so we talk about the limit of 3 minutes and not about election issues. Is that, I'm not quite saying that right, but I think I've hit the heart of it. But, you hit the heart of it. Okay, yes, all right. And let's see, do we have anyone in the room here that would like to make a comment this evening? Yes, sir, please invite you. If you'd like to come up, we invite you to state your name and address too, please. But.
Yep.
Yes, my name is Frank Erickson. I'm a resident of University Place. I'm immediate past president of the Rotary Club and a Rotary Club of University Place Faircrest. I'm also a member of the University Place Parks and Recreation Foundation. And doing some of the fundraising, and I'd like to encourage people not only to make individual contributions, but if you know of a foundation or a corporation locally that has that would meet, or their stated purposes meet this project, if you could please let us know. Get word to us through our website, the University Place Parks and Recreation website, and just let us know who to contact. We're still looking. Those 8 that Chris Saunders talked about aren't the only people who can play this game. So please do. One other thing I'd like to, as representative of the Rotary Club, I also wanted to invite people to participate on Earth Day, the 22nd, in Clean Up, Clean UP. It's a folks march, kind of a project, but we issue garbage bags as well as T-shirts, and invite people to help clean the streets and pick up litter along the route. And they'll have 3K to 5K routes that will be assigned to people throughout the city. So contact the Rotary Club, Rotary Club of University Place Faircrest in order to sign up and register for the Clean Up, Clean UP. Thank you.
Very good, Mr. Ergson. Thank you. Appreciate you sharing your comments and thoughts there. And it should be a fun day on the 22nd with Clean Up UP and Arbor Day all rolled into one. Anyone else in the chambers that would like to make comment? Anyone else? I'm not seeing any. Amy, do you see anyone online at this point? From what I can see, I don't, but just wanted to check with you too.
We don't have anyone online.
All right. Very good. And with that in mind, then our public comment section is closed for this evening, and we're going to move on with our agenda and into the consent agenda. So at this point, I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
This is Councilmember Belisi. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as proposed.
Very good. Thank you, Councilmember Belisi. And is there a second?
Keel, second.
Thank you, Mr. Keel. And are there any objections to the consent agenda? Any objections? Seeing none, the consent agenda is approved. Thank you. That brings us to comments for this evening. And Mr. Sugg, you may have a few things for us.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm going to expand a little bit on Parks and Public Works Director Jack Eklund's comments about the Parks Appreciation Day scheduled for Paradise Pond. Again, this is the 2023 Parks Appreciation Day, which is also, as Jack mentioned, it's Earth Day, Saturday, April 22nd, 9 a.m. to noon. And please note this event goes on rain or shine. For the members of the public that might be interested in coming out and helping out. The address of Paradise Pond Park is 3124 67th Avenue. Volunteers are encouraged to come out and help spread wood chips on the trail and to help us with some minor brush clearing. As Jack mentioned, a tree will be planted in observation of Arbor Day. Also would like to thank the city's co-sponsor on this event, that's University Place Refuse and Recycling. Volunteers will be treated to free coffee, donuts, water, and T-shirts, so there's something for those that do show up and help us out. Volunteers are also asked to bring their own tools and gloves. However, if you don't have tools, for those that don't have tools, our Parks Department we'll have additional rakes and shovels to help out because we realize that some may not have those tools. But we encourage volunteers to come out, and it should be a great day. Again, Saturday, April 22nd, 9 a.m. to noon, rain or shine. Thank you, Mayor, Council.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Sugg. Appreciate that. And yes, it is a great day and a lot of fun digging in, so to speak, and helping get ready, things underway for spring and cleaned up. So thank you. Look forward to a good turnout and appreciate the Rotary's Club involvement in this year's activities too. Well, we're going to go around and get comments from council members, and we start with Mr. Keel.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Nothing in detail. I would just say that this past few weeks have been very busy dealing with the NLC's national presence, talking with our folks and things like that, and also with Sound Transit, but I'll give some more detail a little later.
All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate your work in those areas and helping folks know about University Place and the things we offer. Councilmember Wood.
The only comment I have is encourage folks to get out and vote next week.
All right.
Thank you.
A good reminder, important to do. And Councilmember McCluskey.
Thank you. I really don't have anything to report at this time, but I also want to encourage people to go out and vote. Give it a sense of urgency, be thoughtful in your responses, and hopefully do what you believe is best for the city going forward. Thank you.
All right. And Councilmember McCluskey. I'm sorry, Lisi.
We look alike.
I don't know why I do that, but I do. At least I'm consistent.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to encourage people to participate in the activities we have going on this Saturday in honor of Arbor Day, both the walk and Paradise Pond. Start contributing to your community and help us look great. And also, I ditto what Councilmember Wood and Councilmember McCluskey said regarding getting out and voting. The election due date is the 25th, so please do vote and do vote your conscience. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Very good, thank you. And I guess that's my turn then. So I was, first off, I wanted to start off thanking Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa for filling in for my absence at the last meeting. I was in Washington, D.C. With the National League of Cities Congressional Conference, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. Other things that we've had going on, one of which is last week the members of the city staff, along with Councilmember McCluskey and I, attended the Day Island, I guess it's Clubhouse? Is that, I think that's the facility?
Yeah, the community club.
Community, okay, so, center, was it?
Yeah, the community clubhouse.
Community Clubhouse, okay, Community Clubhouse. There on Day Island, where we continued, the city continued with the help of West Pierce Fire and Rescue, a series on emergency preparedness. Had a pretty good turnout from that. This one was focused on personal preparedness and a great presentation by Rachel, who's with West Pierce Fire and Rescue. Did a fine job, one of our partners in emergency management and preparedness. City staff was there, City Manager Sugg was there, Jennifer Hales was there, Lisa Batorik, and others, which are going to escape me at the moment. The problem is you start naming them people and you go, but did I get them all? And I probably didn't, but I came close. However, it was well received, and we're going to continue that series of preparedness. Of course, this all sort of ties back to the King Tide event this past December, and the homes on Day Island and the homes on Sunset Beach that were impacted quite significantly in certain cases, clearly, by the King Tide events. So part of that is getting ready. The city's been discussing about mitigation as well. And speaking of that, when I was at the National League of Cities conference, one of the things that I had the opportunity to do was to meet with FEMA, assistant administrative manager, or director rather, for one of their divisions. She and I had a good conversation over the course of about an hour, talking about Day Island, talking about the King Tide event, and looking for ways to look for mitigation help from FEMA. And there are some likely mitigation approaches. FEMA has some ability to help us there. And to help these folks more directly. The city is more of a facilitator than a party in this particular approach. But we're taking some steps to build that facilitation. And I have invited her to come to University Place and see the situation firsthand. That would also come to apply for the Day Island Bridge. And while that's a separate issue, it is still an issue that's important to our community, to ourselves here, the Day Island folks that live there, and really the whole South Sound, be it the Port of Tacoma or JBLM, all of which that rail line serves important logistic needs, either to move troops and material or to move the goods across the West Coast. So if that bridge were to come down, that gets severed, things change, and we certainly don't want that to happen. So part of that time was spent with FEMA, and who has a program specific to our needs here. So hopefully we'll be able to move that forward and share the information about mitigation approaches as we learn a little bit more about that as well. While I was there also, I met with Congresswoman Strickland. She's been on the Day Island Bridge with me and with then Mayor Belisi, and she knows Day Island and knows the area. And we have discussed that with her previously on several occasions. But I took another occasion, the opportunity while I was in town, and she was kind enough to make time, and we had a good conversation about that, and also about the Chambers Creek Road roundabout, which is high on our transportation needs list. And we sat down with some of her staff, went over some of the details of that. So the Congresswoman has, like any congressperson, has 15 projects that they can nominate within their district to be considered in an appropriations budget. And we asked if we could be on that list. So she's been considering that. Frankly, 2 days after I got back, we got the note that said we're on the list. So she did decide to put us within those, that is to say the roundabout for Chambers Creek Road, put that on that list, and that's a big step for us. It's certainly not over, but it's a big step, and I appreciate the Congresswoman's support. That list means it has the potential of being in a future budget, and so we've made that first hurdle. It's a long road, but you start with that first hurdle, and so we are over that one and continue to push and work that issue. But I'm grateful for that. Actually, Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa, who's visiting with her in the next few days, he's going to be delivering a note from me to her, just principally thanking her for that. Other things that went on when I was in D.C. And all, I did have an opportunity to meet with the Senator Cantwell staff and Senator Murray staff separately, and shared our project needs there principally over the Day Island Bridge. And so they've been briefed. They have some good details there, and I believe we're on their radar about such things. Their process is each house has a different process. We're in both for the bridge and for the roundabout needs as well. And I also briefed them about Day Island and the King Tide event in the event, just in case at some point we need to ask for further, more direct help of our elected representatives in Washington, D.C. But appreciated that. They were easy to access and good participation. While Councilmember Keel was leading a discussion, an important one on broadband and broadband security for the National League of Cities, I attended a different conference, which was on rail safety. And while there, I had an opportunity to talk with a representative for the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad, our railroad, and she gave me some guidance on essentially the permitting for how to go about the permitting process for replacing that bridge. So the railroads, not necessarily BNSF, but railroads in general are really well known for being really, really slow about such things. And so to the extent that we can get them engaged and make them aware of the needs and not run surprises by them. It helps for the future. So that process is underway. And I also had a chance to meet with representatives of the Federal Department of Transportation and talk with them about that as well. While I was in the rail safety conversation, it was quite impressive. We had, I think it was 8 of the major rail lines, I think they're referred to as Class A rail, in the room, and these were their national spokespeople. And they had some some other representations for Class B. And they were talking about some of the things that have happened with rail derailments in communities across this country, and some of the reasons and some of the ways that they're approaching it, and new designs in tank cars and a variety of different things, and how they check for hot brake systems and things like that. I found it fascinating and somewhat comforting. We had Deputy Secretary for Transportation there, who also made a comment on behalf of, I believe it's Secretary Buttigieg. That was also interesting to hear. I have to say the NLC conference had some very, I'll just use the term heavyweight officials there that were engaged and present and I believe paying attention. So it was a privilege to be part of it. I want to thank the community for making that to be possible, and just wanted to report to council about what took place here about 2 weeks ago. And again, thank the Mayor Pro Tem for filling in for me. I watched the meeting, and it seemed like I guess might have had a little bit of fun, along with a whole bunch of work, but that's okay. Let's see. We continue to do work on our legislative agenda at the state side too. I'm not going to take too much time with that because it's at this juncture, it's still a little murky. We are in the last few minutes of it, and we won't really know the smoke. There's too much smoke in the air to know exactly where we are at this particular moment. But in the future agendas, we will be touching on that when the smoke settles, when we actually figure out what's happened. In the last few hours, it's always a little hard to know. Like my colleagues, I want to invite and encourage our registered voters here in University Place to vote. Tuesday the 25th is the end of this current election. What you decide in your voting process will set the standard for our police services for this community probably for quite a while. And so please tell us what that is. Let us know what your thoughts are at the ballot box, and so that we can do the best we can to see that can happen. And I think that covers my comments for this evening. Does anybody have any further comments? I think we're at the end of our agenda, right? Yeah. Pretty much there. So if there aren't any further comments, this evening is adjourned.